What's going on, everybody? This is Emerald Knight Leon back with another deck analysis. It's been a bit. We're finally reaching the tail end of BT-07. Pre-release is going to be starting up this Friday uh, in the Southern California, to my knowledge. You'll probably, if you're down in Southern California, you might see me at a few places. Who knows? But today we are going to be covering some of the BT-08 decks that I am very interested in, and we're going to start with probably one of my favorites, which is BlackWarGreymon. Now, I didn't get into the game until BT5. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Because of that, I wasn't really able to play a lot of the older decks. Like, I never got to experience BlackWarGreymon when it was really good. I wasn't able to. And by the time I was able to start running a tribal Greymon, it was already BT6. And people were running Agumon. But finally, I can finally, experience what a tribal deck is truly. I've experimented with tribal. I've done tribal. You've seen tribal Agumon. I've done tribal Greymons, but to see it now become meta again in this BlackWarGreymon variant is really nice. But to start things off, we are running 4 copies of Coromon. The majority of our level 3s here, because it's a Agumon deck, are going to be the red Agumons. Mainly because the new all of the BlackWarGreys, our Greymon over here, and our Metal Greys over here can all be digivolved off of black. So, and as well as red. So, our Agumons here are primarily going to be the ones creating the chain. Coromon, if it has, if the Digimon has Omnimon or Greymon in its name when attacking once per turn, trigger draw 1. It's a very standard card, but it does facilitate some draw, if your starting hand isn't the best. Going into our rookies, though, we are running to start off with the new BT-08 Black Agumon here. It has the on-play effect of reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, add 1 card with Greymon in its name, and 1 card with Dragonkin in its trait among them to your hand, and then place the remaining cards at the bottom in any order. So how this is going to be used for people is you're going to use it to get either your Greymon here or your Metal Greymon preferably, and then you're going to use the Dragonkin part in order to grab one of your BlackWarGreymons that you're running. So as you can see later on, we'll talk about it. I am running 3 versions of BlackWarGreymon here, mainly because I do want to experiment with the ratios, see what I like best. But moving on to the rest of our rookies, we're running 2 copies of BT-1 Agumon. This is the one that is a Tamer searcher. We're only running 5 Tamers in this, so we're only running 2 copies of this Agumon. We're running 2 copies of BT-3 Agumon. This is the 2 cost of 1 Digivolution. Back during BT-6, one of a good opening move that I saw a lot of Agumon players is just Digivolve this Agumon in your raising and just choke your opponent at 1. So that no matter what they do outside of digivolving in their breeding, they're going to put you at around 2 to 3 memory. So it's a similar process there. Also, it does have arguably the most DP out of all of our Agumons, being 4,000. So if we needed to, we could spam our board a little with some of these guys in order to just do some chip damage if needed. Finally, we have 4 copies of Starter Deck 7 Agumon. This is, in my opinion, the superior Agumon in terms of the starter decks, as it does have the ability when attacking, when this Digimon attacks a player, it gets plus 2,000. Now, that means it's only going to get that 2,000 when it's attacking the player, not their Digimon, but I personally still think 2,000 is far cry a much better deal than, say, 1,000 for the original. Moving on to our level 4s, we are running 4 copies of BT-08's Greymon. This is a 5 play cost, 2 Digivolution cost. It can digivolve off of black and red Digimon. It has 6000 DP. It has no effect, but it does have the inherited. While you have a red Digimon in play, this Digimon gains blocker. So this is very useful because you're going to use it in conjunction with your Metal Greymon and your BlackWarGreymon because they are dual colors, so they count as both black and red Digimon. So these will become blockers essentially. And we'll also be running 2 copies of BT-05Greymon. This is here because of that plus 2000, as well as it's a good way of just digivolving for cheap cost, gaining 1 memory off of it, which you can just use in conjunction with Nokia to make it free. Finally, we're running 4 copies of Starter Deck 1 Greymon. This is the one that was used a lot during Agumon's, time. Security attack +1. You're gonna give all of your BlackWarGreys just an extra security check. In the case of this one, the promo one, you're gonna make it so that it's security 2 checks, Digiburst 2 checks, or 1 check if you Digibursted that Greymon, and then 2 Digiburst again, and then 1 check. So if this had a full stack going from your Digi-Egg, you're going to Digiburst it first. It's going to be your Egg and your Rookie. You're going to still get those 2 checks off. Then you're going to Digiburst again, and then you're just going to get 1 check. But that's a grand total of 5 checks right there. Moving on to our level 5s, we're running 4 copies of the BT-08 Metal Greymon. This is an 8 cost to play, 8000 DP, 4 cost to Digivolve. It has a very interesting effect. When Digivolving, de-Digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon, and then delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 3000 DP or less. Now, personally, the second part of its ability, I don't know if it'll get much use at the point that you play it, you Digivolve it. But the de-Digivolve one is something that I do like because you could bring out your level 4 and your opponent has, say, a level 6 that has the ability to have multiple checks. You're just going to Digivolve onto your champion and then de-Digivolve it. And if it's already suspended, then you're just going to swing over it. It also has a inherited effect of while this Digimon has Dragonkin or Machine in its traits, it can also attack your opponent's unsuspended Digimon. So this card is not only useful for this deck if you wanted to run a upgrade of Machine Dramon, if you're interested in that. This could be useful for that because you would be allowing your Machine Dramon to swing at unsuspended Digimon. We'll also be running 2 copies of EX1 Metal Greymon. This is the one that gives piercing to your Digimon if it has Machine or Dragonkin in its trait as an inherited. And then when it attacks a player, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 4000 DP or less. What more needs to be said? Finally, level 6s. So as I mentioned, I want to experiment with the ratios here. So you're going to see these are the 3 BlackWarGreys that you're most likely going to see. You might see some others, and we'll talk about those, but I believe these are the 3 that you'll see the most. So we have BT-2 BlackWarGreymon. This is one that you're primarily going to be hard playing, I would imagine. While your opponent has a Digimon with 10,000 DP or more in play, reduce the memory cost to play this card from your hand by 6. So you're playing it for 7. And then when attacking, if you attack your opponent's Digimon with the highest DP, unsuspend this Digimon. So if you're able to boost this guy's DP to be able to swing over, say, a 13 or 14, he'll be able to unsuspend again and just swing again and again and again until he deletes all your opponent's Digimon, because this isn't a once per turn ability. Next is the promo BlackWarGreymon. This is the one that has the Digiburst effect of Digiburst 2, unsuspend this Digimon. What more needs to be said about that? Probably the only caveat with it is that 11,000 DP. A lot of level 6s these days have high, like 12 to 13, sometimes 14. So honestly, I would only really swing with this into security if I were to use it in conjunction with, say, one of our option cards. And then finally, the star of the show, though, is BT-08's BlackWarGreymon. 12,000 DP, play cost of 12. It's a 4 cost for Digivolving. When Digivolving, if this Digimon has a red Digivolution card, choose any number of your opponent's Digimon. If this Digimon has a black Digivolution card, choose any number of your opponent's Tamers. The chosen card's play cost must add up to 6 or less, and then delete the chosen cards. Essentially, this is just a level 6 version of Zwart Defeat. In that, Zwart Defeat's effect is when, if I recall, when Digivolving, delete one of your opponent's Digimon, and when played, when deleted, delete one of your opponent's Digimon. When Digivolving, delete one of your opponent's Tamers. So this is just doing both for Digivolution. And then also, all turns, once per turn, when opponent's Digimon is deleted, unsuspend this Digimon. So you can use this in conjunction with, say, BT-2's BlackWarGreymon, where he's going to attack and your BT-8's going to be suspended already. You're going to swing with BT-2's BlackWarGreymon, and because an opponent's Digimon is deleted, your BT-8 BlackWarGreymon is going to unsuspend itself so it can swing into security again. Moving on to our options. We're going to run a combination of red and black here because we're able to now. We're going to run a couple copies, 3 copies of Final Zubagon Punch, mainly just to give that boost of DP, the blocker, the reboot, and the security attack +1, which is really useful. So essentially, if we're using this Greymon and giving a security attack +1, now we're going to have 2 extra checks, so that's 3 checks plus blocker reboot, which is great if this isn't the one that our BlackWarGrey is going to be on, because then he'll just have blocker. We'll be running 4 copies of the new Dark Gaia Force. This card is really nice. It's such a better version of Gaia Force. Choose any number of your opponent's Digimon whose play cost adds up to 15 or less and delete them. And then security effect, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with play cost of 15 or less. I love this ability because the problem I had with Gaia Force is it's an 8 cost to play and you're only able to delete 1 Digimon. Just 1. I mean, Gigastorm right here, which we're running 2 copies of, you can delete 2 of them that as long as they have 8,000 DP or less. Sure, you don't have the DP restriction on Gaia Force, but it's still only 1 Digimon. Meanwhile, Dark Gaia Force, it's still an 8 cost, but we can delete a lot more Digimon with this. 2 to 3, depending on what their play costs are. And in just talking about Dark Gaia Force, we talk about Gigastorm. It's mainly here to facilitate a bit more of aggression coming out of our security, preferably. And then finally, on our Tamers, we're running 2 copies of Nokia. Nokia is here just to be able to use her effect to play an Agumon, preferably our new Black Agumon here, to get that play, or even our BT-1 Agumon for its on-play effect. And then also, because of her effect, we can suspend her to reduce Digivolution costs for all of our War Greys and Greymons. And then finally, we're running 3 copies of Tai Kamiya. This is the BT-1 type. This is the one everybody loves using because all of your red Digimon with 4 or more Digivolution cards gain security attack +1. And the one caveat, though, is that it only will work for our BlackWarGreymon from BT-8. Which is kind of a bummer, but preferably this is the BlackWarGrey you're going to be wanting to use to delete your opponent's Digimon. These 2 are the ones you want to use to attack your opponent's security, preferably. Mainly because you can use this BlackWarGrey in conjunction with Final Zubagon Punch. Or even in conjunction with this to get the 2 checks for the repeated swings. And this one can get the Tai Kamiya's effect. It can get the Greymon's effect. It can get Final Zubagon Punch's effect. It has a lot of means of increasing your security checks. So that is the deck. Now, moving on, there are different cards you could put in as replacements or options here. So going over this, let's zoom out a little bit here. We got a lot of options here. In terms of our Digi-Eggs, we got the Kapurimon here. If you have Reboot, then gets plus 1,000. You could use that with Final Zubagon Punch. There's also the starter deck Digi-Egg that I did not put here. That has, if you have Blocker, it gets plus 1,000, which is also nice. Agumon here. It's on deletion effect. Will search out your BlackWarGreys and your Metal Greys. Specifically the new ones because they're black. Unfortunately, the black Digi-Eggs you probably won't see unless you're running cards like Chumon or Sunariza. As for your other red cards, Demimera for the extra 1,000 if attacking a player, and Gummymon here. So Gummymon is from the new set. It is when attacking once per turn. If this Digimon has 6,000 DP or more, draw one card. This would be used in conjunction with just being able to fish out for more stuff. Just keep fishing. If you have one BlackWarGrey out on the field, you want to get another to add more aggression, this can be a means of achieving that. If you have a Metal Greymon, but you don't have your BlackWarGrey, and you just need to find it, this could be your means of doing that. As for our rookies, Chumon for preventing your opponent from gaining memory outside Tamer effects, Gaussmon for preventing your opponent from reducing Digivolution costs, Sunarizamon. I could see someone trying to pull Sunarizamon in this deck. If you're combining Final Zubagon Punch, or you're combining, say, the BT-05 Wargrey or Greymon, to try, or any other means of trying to increase DP value, Sunariza might be able to pull it off. The issue is you're limited on that. I mentioned BT-5. That was a mistake. I did not mean that. Because you can't Digivolve Sunariza into BT-5 Wargrey, or BT-5's Greymon. So honestly, Sunariza here could really only work if you're running it with, say, I don't know, possibly another card we have here, Ultras mode. Because what you would do with Sunariza is you'll go into you'll Digivolve it into the Black Greymon, then you'll Digivolve it into Metal Greymon EX, and then you'll Digivolve into this Ultras mode. And in that situation, you'll now get Piercing plus 2,000. The problem with that is you're already getting Piercing, and you're now getting the Security Attack plus 1, which is nice. If you have this out, then if you're using Final Zubagon Punch, then you're going to get the Piercing. So Sunarizamon can be made to work. It's just really finding a balance of like what you're going to need to take out and what you're going to need to put in to be able to make Sunarizamon work at its full potential. We also have Agumon Expert just to recycle all of our Agumons. BT-5 Agumon over here, revealing 3 cards from our deck, adding a Greymon or an Omnimon. Gaussmon we mentioned. This is the starter deck 1. It's your turn. This Digimon gets plus 1,000, which is nice. I prefer the 2,000, even if it has the caveat of having to attack the player. Another new card from BT-08, Hawkmon. Now, Hawkmon, you would not see normally in this deck. The reason I put this here is because it can facilitate a lot of searching. Mainly, its effect reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, add 1 2-color red card among them to your hand. So you would use this to bring in your BlackWarGrey or your Metal Grey. As for our level 4s, Grumblemon if you're running a Black Tamer, Burning Gray if you're running Red Tamers, just to have that last, if you can't win on that turn but you have this, you go into that for the win. Greymon from BT1, your Digimon will get plus 2,000. Promo Greymon here, if it's on an Agumon, you're going to get that early Security Attack plus 1 aggression. Geo Greymon from starter deck 7, just for its ability to come out of security, to add more bodies on your field, to just keep attacking and adding aggression. As for our level 5s, Rise Greymon, I actually could see being very useful here. It would let you bring out your tie early if you wanted, but also it's inherited. If you have a Tamer in play, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 2000 DP for the turn. This could be useful, honestly, especially if you're using it in conjunction with, BlackWarGrey, BT-08. You'll swing, have it suspend, then use your BT-2 BlackWarGrey in order to swing into a Digimon that you just reduced DP by 2000. And then unsuspend your BlackWarGrey, and then repeat the cycle. So you can loop a little with Rise Greymon here. It does take a lot of planning to be able to pull it off, but it is something that you could do. Also, we have Ultras mode, as we mentioned, as well as the BT-7 Metal Greymon. When one of your opponent's Digimon is deleted, gain the memory. If you have a Tamer in play, gain 2 memory. If you don't have a Tamer, you can play a Tamer from your hand without paying its cost. On to our other Greymons, though. As for blacks, we have the black version WarGreymon, which has blocker and reboot. We have BlackWarGreymon from BT-5, which has security attack +1 and reboot. And then we also have BT-1's WarGreymon, which has the built-in ADP and gains security attack +1 for the turn on Digivolution. Starter Deck 1's WarGreymon, which for every 2 Digivolution cards it gains security attack +1. And then Shine Greymon. I will always love Shine Greymon here. When I was playing with casual Tribal Greymon, I was running Shine Greymon because of that security attack +1 and piercing. As for our options, Ultimate Flare, Iron Fist Onslaught are great black option cards. As for reds, a Delicate Plane is always useful. Heir of Dragons, if you're wanting more draw power. Trident Revolver, if you want to be able to delete one of your opponent's Digimon and play a Tamer, which, can be very useful. Red Memory Boost for being able to, search your deck for your Digimon. Regular Gaia Force, if you really want to play that, I personally would just play the Dark Gaia Force instead of this. And then also Lightning Joust for the extra security check and +2000. As for our Tamers, you could be running Izzy and Joe just to be able to, get that extra memory off of your opponent having more Digimon. Marcus for gaining memory, which if you really want to run this instead of Tai, I would highly recommend it. Just for gaining that memory, and because it doesn't have a caveat of specifying color. It just is Greymon. Tai Kamiya from BT-6. This is mainly just to get that draw 1 and memory from moving your Agumons, because that's all the rookies you have. Starter Deck 1 Tai Kamiya, just all your Digimon getting +1000. And finally, Tai Kamiya and Matt Ishida. Personally, this, if you wanted to run Omnimon in here, I didn't put it in here, but if you wanted to, you could. You could run, personally, I would say Ultra S, because that can Digivolve off of black. Otherwise, Zwart or Zwart Defeat. I personally don't have Zwart Defeat, so you're never going to see me play it, but if you have it, you have it. Otherwise, if your opponent has level 6 or higher, you gain 2 memory. So that is it for this. Honestly, I'm really happy that we're gonna move into the next set. The next set's gonna be really fun. Finally gonna be leaving the hybrid meta. Not completely. Yellow hybrid's still gonna stick around for a good while. But I'm happy to see BlackWarGrey and Agumon finally getting their time to shine. BlackWarGrey is a sore spot for me with O2 because it's had so much missed potential. So being able to see it now have this really nice time to shine in the card game is really nice. But again, I hope you enjoyed this. Uh, I will probably be uploading a update video on certain things. You know, how's things gonna go with releasing videos, because the next month is gonna be very very busy for me. Uh, but until then, I hope you enjoyed this. I will see you in the next video. Peace.